What if I told you the biggest risk to your forecast is not the crazy economy where we have uncertainty everywhere? It's not your ERP. It's not even your quality of your data. In fact, it doesn't even have anything to do with your tools. It's the fact that nobody, not your analysts, not your managers, maybe even not even you, truly understands the company's goals and the why of that direction. And when the destination isn't clear, the forecast is just noisy. Let's talk about the silent killer of performance in businesses, the strategic vagueness. Hi, I'm Heather Cole with Lodestar Solutions and Heatherized. And for the last 25 years, I've been helping companies like yours implement top level budgeting, forecasting, and planning solutions. I've worked with companies that are 46 billion all the way down to startups. Additionally, I've coached executives in my Heatherized coaching company where I coach CFOs and CEOs so that they can deliver on that strategy. But here's the root of the problem. The root of the problem is forecasting without direction. I've worked with CFOs all over the country, and there's a troubling pattern that I see. The forecasts that change constantly, endless rework, missed targets, all because no one can clearly state the company's top 3 strategic goals and why those are the goals. If you don't know where you're going, you can't predict how you're going to get there or what the numbers will be. And if your team doesn't understand the role that they have in achieving those goals, then you've got disconnected inputs, misaligned metrics, and frustrated teams flying blindly. I was recently at the FEI Financial Executives International Summit where they asked me to speak. And I queried the room and I said, how many of you can clearly articulate the strategic goals of your organization? Now, I've been doing the same question when I speak for almost 10 years now. And here's the thing. The average when I'm in front of financial executives is about 4%. Only 4% can clearly articulate their strategic goals. Now, if the CFOs and the financial leaders don't know, what about the rest of the team? Now, there's another side to this problem is the human impact. And this is what I say creates the imposter syndrome and the disengagement of employees in your organization. You see, it's not just a forecasting issue, it's a people issue. Studies have shown that 60% of professionals have considered leaving a job due to imposter syndrome. You know, imposter syndrome is that little voice in your head that says, who do you think you are? You don't know what you're doing. They're going to find out you're a fraud. Now, that imposter syndrome can be a superpower, but for many people, it really gets them questioning. Even CFOs that I work with in my coaching business have come to me saying, I think it's time to look for a new job. And as we peel back the layers of that onion and start asking why they think it's time to move on, what we almost always discover is that they haven't been given clear direction on where the organization is going, or direction is being dictated and they don't have any voice in how to steer it. It's that uncertainty of the direction or feeling like they don't have the power to help steer the ship. Now, as a CFO, it's pretty important to be part of that. But the lack of clear expectations and the strategic direction is causing so many people to sit quietly or frustrated in your organization, and they might even be looking to leave. When team members don't know what success looks like, they start to doubt themselves and the people around them, their leaders as well. They start to believe that maybe they're the problem. And when the real problem is really just silence at the top. I recently was working with one of my coaching clients and she expressed this frustration. And I said, do you think it's that the CEO doesn't really know the direction? And she said, yes, I now it's been so long with no clarity. I think that's it. And I said, well, what if You took the lead. What if you started to write down what you think it should be and went to the CEO and said, "Could you validate? This is my understanding of what you've been communicating." You see, you don't have to be at the top to start a movement. You can be a CFO, you can be anywhere in the organization and start asking the right questions. Now, the transformation, what happens when goals are clearly defined? Now, imagine this instead. Every member of your team knows the company's vision. Everybody knows exactly why you're going in that direction. And they all know how they personally can contribute to the achievement of those goals. They understand what the numbers mean, they understand why it matters. That's when forecasting becomes proactive and not reactive. That's when the budget isn't just a guessing game, it's a strategic accelerator. When the teams have clarity, focus and forecasts get sharper. Decisions become faster. The culture gets stronger. People get energized and they are ready to align with the goals of the organization. If your forecast and forecasting process are falling short, stop blaming the tools. Don't get me wrong, you might have outdated tools. Excel, for example, is hard to scale, but start first by asking, does everyone in my team understand the direction and their role in achieving the goals? It's that simple. Go ask your team today. Do you understand? And don't fault them for not knowing. The communication, the responsibility from this comes very high up. And own your part in this journey. But with clarity, you can unlock a better planning, stronger performance, and most importantly, a team that believes in what you're building. Your people want to do great work. They want to contribute. They want to feel important. They want to feel like they matter, but they can't do that if they're feeling stuck and second guessing every move. You don't need a bigger budget. You don't need a new platform. You need to start with clarity and the courage to provide it. You need to be able to communicate that clarity and that direction, not just once, but repeatedly to your organization so they understand the why you're going there and what it means for them. You need to be the leader that lights the path and shows them the way. And watch what your team can accomplish when they finally know where you're actually going. My call to action to you today is go take one step to get clarity in what the strategic goals of the organization are. Now, this doesn't matter where you are within the organizational hierarchy. You could start it within your department, you could start it in your region, and if you happen to be a top executive, you can start it by getting a group of executives together and say, I think, Houston, we have a problem. We need to have this clearly defined, and then we need to communicate down and ensure we have the why. Now, go start the clarity and watch what happens. Your forecasts can be accurate, timely, and a lot less stress with a little clarity.